Hello and welcome to the 1970s Volkswagen Beetle Type 1 replica in automation game. Yes, my friends, I've made this awesome replica as you can see in automation game so that you can download this awesome car and drive it and enjoy it, of course, in your BeamNG.drive. So let's talk about this car and let's see what's what. So this pretty awesome Beetle replica that I made in automation game is absolutely purely identical mechanically to the real deal, and I tried my best to make it as identical visually as possible to the 1970s American market 1600 Super version in particular. So a little history about this awesome Beetle. This thing was produced all the way from the year 1939 all the way to 2003. Yes, my friends, from 1939 all the way to 2003. They kept making this car even after Volkswagen itself made the new Beetle, the upgraded new version of the Beetle. They kept making this one in a lot of countries, like for example Mexico, Brazil, and many other countries. This thing was extremely popular, absolutely deadly popular, every single way, in every way, everywhere. Even in the Middle East, they have special names for this car. The Bug, the I don't know, a lot of crazy names. Even in the Middle East, they called it in Arabic. They called it zilhfe, which is in English, it's like the turtle. For some reason, Arabic people, they thought this thing looks like a turtle, and they called it like that. This thing was deadly popular back home in Syria. Like my father told me a lot of stories. He actually owned one for a while. It was like deadly slow, but it was actually deadly reliable as well. So all these awesome Beetle versions came with a flat 4 engine. Started with 1.1. That was the original version, the 1.1, all the way to the 1.6 liter. This is of course the Type 1 version of this awesome car. All of them flat 4. All of them made absolutely, which is really shocking, made out of aluminium, full aluminium engine from VW at the time, which was really awesome. This particular version that I do like, actually, because it's like, you know, the funky version, is pushing 57 horsepower from its 1.6 liter, absolutely identical Boxer 4 engine. All of them were rear-engined, rear-wheel drive. Some of them came with a 3-speed gearbox. This one has the 4-speed manual. Some of them also came with something weird called semi-auto, or like auto manual gearbox at the time, which was like an optional extra. And so I made this one, and I tried my best to make it as absolutely identical as possible. Let me show you a couple of quick things that I did on this car. So basically, this thing obviously is made out of steel. I've used partial monocoque, which is basically a mix between ladder and of course monocoque chassis, which was as they call it unibody at the time. Steel, obviously materials, obviously rear engine, longitudinal. Front suspension is MacPherson struts, or as they call them, coilovers. The rear suspension, which is really weird, this thing came with a very interesting rear suspension, which is like a mix between, of course, leaf springs and independent axle at the same time. It was absolutely weird, but unfortunately we do not have that option in automation. As you can see, when you put the engine in the back, rear longitudinal, you only have these three options: double wishbone, which is not close to the real deal; push rods, which is something really crazy for like supercars and hypercars; and obviously MacPherson struts. The reason that I went with MacPherson struts, because in real life they sell kits, like aftermarket kits, to transform your rear suspension into coil overs. Not only the front ones, also the rear ones. So that's why I went with MacPherson struts both ways. Next, of course, is the engine. So the engine, as I mentioned, is the absolute identical deal, full on aluminium, flat for 1.6 liter. This is the absolute identical bore and stroke, 85.5 millimeter on the bore, 69 on the stroke. As you can see, I went with aluminium eco heads, which is like the real deal on this engine. Obviously, cast internals all the way with the harmonic damper. And this is the high compression version of the engine, because there were two versions of the engine. There was a low compression one with like 7.0 to 1 compression, which runs on basically garbage fuel, and this one, which is the high compression, yes, which is really interesting, 7.3 to 1 compression, which ran on 85 octane. They considered 85 octane at the time was like high compression, version, but okay, I went with that. 34 on the cam profile, 50 on the springs and lifters, 5000 RPM limit. And as you can see, I went with zero quality here, obviously naturally aspirated. This thing came with a single barrel carb on top. I went with this particular tune. 37 on the carb, 0 on, like, absolutely super little amount of fuel going into the engine. Timing is like default 50. As I mentioned, I'm running on absolute garbage low quality 85 octane fuel. I've chosen standard mid-range intake manifold with this particular size. I've used compact cast headers, dual exhaust pipes, twin reverse flow mufflers to make this thing actually a little bit quiet, and in this particular tune. And the results are actually interesting results. This thing is pushing 57 horsepower at 4400 RPM, which is really identical to the real deal, and 82.5 pound-feet, which is like very, 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 very close to the real deal. The real one in real life pushed it at 3000 RPM. This is like 2800. So like I tried my best. This is like the best that I could came as close as possible to came up with. And as you can see, the engine is deadly reliable, like absolutely deadly reliable, and it's actually fuel efficient, runs on garbage fuel, no problem. It's very smooth, somewhat responsive, and sporty sound actually. And let's actually hear it. Yep, so it's a pretty basic engine, like, flat 4, overhead valve, nothing too crazy about it, and it worked really fine. And the car itself, as you can see, is I've chosen the manual 4-speed gearbox, and these numbers, the final drive, the first, second, third, fourth gear, all these ratios are absolutely VW official numbers. I've taken all these numbers from the official VW site to make this gearbox absolutely identical. Obviously open diff. This thing goes from 0 to 100 in 15 seconds. The top speed about 153 kilometers per hour, which is really, really awesome. As you can see, zero quality. I've chosen radial hard long life tires, alloys, 15-inch rims. So this is also another thing in automation games. So the stock tire size is 165 80 R15s. This is the absolute official size of the tires. Okay, up front it's perfect. The back, unfortunately, in automation game, when I put the same size, the car was absolutely undrivable in BeamNG. It was like spinning. So I had to go with this particular a little bit wider tires, like from 165 to 185, which made this thing drive really nicely. Obviously alloys, which is shockingly, I'm shocked that this thing came with alloys at the time. Obviously full drums all the way. Some versions later came with disc brakes. This one is drums, and they work absolutely fine in BeamNG. Obviously no under tray whatsoever, and I did some magic on the downforce here. As you can see, it's a super tiny bit of downforce just to make it stable. Like, I'm not looking to add more grip, just to make it, stay stable and not really uplifting itself on high speed at like 150. As you can see, like 0.3, not too much, works really fine. And next we have, of course, this thing came with 5 seats, obviously, 2 up front, 3 at the back, basic interior, basic AM radio at the time, manual recirculating ball steering, and of course, obviously, no ABS, with basic 1970s safety equipment. This is the suspension tune that I went with, and it works absolutely really, really nice in BeamNG Drive. And this beautiful car will set you back only 6,980 bucks. That's it. It's deadly cheap also. So this thing is very, 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 very reliable. As you can see, it's easy to drive, it's somewhat comfortable, it's actually not bad for safety, and actually quite, fuel efficient for its performance. 968 kilos and absolutely beautiful. And this car right now is available to be downloaded. The link in the description below. Just sign up and download this awesome car, and of course enjoy it in your BeamNG.drive. As you can see on the inside, I've made my own custom interior. Obviously the interior is not absolutely identical, but I made a beautiful looking custom interior, to resemble the class of this beautiful car and the simplicity, and also to make it look absolutely stunning. As you can see, the custom pedals and gear shifter, and of course center console, the dashboard, gauges, and of course the beautiful AM radio, speakers on each side. As you can see, absolutely simple and also pretty awesome. So not only that, some hidden things are under the frunk, they call it, which is like the front trunk. Yeah, so some hidden things are going over there. When you download this car, make sure to check them out, and absolutely awesome. And also, not only this particular awesome version, I've made also another version to like a little upgraded version, for the modernized time. Let me show you. Alright, so this is the upgraded version that I came up with. So what I did is I gave this car some pretty refreshing upgrades to make it, drive better, to make it faster than, of course, the stock version. So what I did is, of course, I have bolted on a turbo to the stock engine to I actually nearly doubled the horsepower from 57 to 103. It's still rear-wheel drive, it's still the same gearbox, it's still basically the same everything. I did not change a lot. Same suspension. As I mentioned, same gearbox, same everything, and they did some basic upgrades. For example, as I mentioned, a turbocharger on the engine. I've put better tires on this car, sport tires on it, same sizes, nothing has changed. And of course the brakes, instead of course putting the stock drum brakes on this car, I went with full-on discs. As you can see, not crazy disc, just like off-the-shelf OEM discs to make this thing actually drives better, and obviously stops this 100 horsepower monster under the hood. And next, of course, still the same thing. Yes, I've chosen semi-clad. What I did is I've actually enclosed the under tray of the car a little bit to act like a semi-clad under tray, which is like a bolt-on plastic bits to make it a little bit smoother and a little bit more grippy and has a little bit more downforce. So same deal for everything else. Interior, what I did here is I've just added some nice modernized bucket seats, as you can see, and also I replaced the steering wheel with this beautiful racing steering wheel. And of course, instead of the AM radio, I've switched to a CD player, which let me actually switch to that right now. Let's say standard CD player. And also I've replaced the old school speakers with modernized speakers, and also I've put a massive subwoofer at the back and 2 additional speakers on each side, to make this thing more fun to drive, obviously. So these basic upgrades, of obviously custom paint job, this beautiful looking red that looks absolutely awesome, and these beautiful new rims, new wheels, new rims to make this thing even more classy and more sporty at the same time. Under the hood, as I mentioned, I have added a turbocharger on the engine, so still the same capacity, still absolutely the same everything, still cast internals, nothing too crazy here. But I added a single turbocharger, obviously, and I've painted the valve covers and of course the cylinder head to make it a little bit more gorgeous and beautiful and funky. With 10 psi of boost, this thing is making 103 horsepower at 5300 rpm, so I raised the rpm a little bit, and also 129.5 pound-feet of torque. So it's still deadly reliable, it's still deadly smooth, and a little bit quieter now because of the turbo, and now nearly doubled the horsepower. And this thing now in automation, in BeamNG, rips really hard. And I also kept the same gearbox ratios. Let me show you. I kept the same gearbox ratios, and I added a limited slip clutch, limited slip diff to make this thing even more fun to drive. The results are 9.1 seconds from 0 to 100 and a top speed about 186 kilometers per hour. I didn't change the gearbox, it's the same gearbox, but of course raising the RPM limit of the engine can raise the top speed on the car, because it will change the mathematics, happening, the relation between the RPM and the gearbox ratios, which actually raise the top speed. Absolutely cool. As I mentioned, tires, sports, as still alloy, still everything, and the results are, let me show you, the results are from 6,900 all the way to 9,090 bucks. It's still deadly cheap, but now it's actually much more fun to drive. And also this particular car is right now available on my Patreon page, the link in the description below. Just click the link and of course enjoy this awesome car in your BeamNG drive. Absolutely enjoy it, have fun with it, and if you do drive this car and if you do enjoy it, I would love to see some photos and screenshots on my Discord, the link in the description below. So of course, what do you think about this car? Tell me in the comment section below. Would you like a crazy version of this car? Would you like me to create a rally version, or like an off-road version, or maybe a drag racer or something for a track? Would you like me, for example, to put a V8 in it? I would love to know more details in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this car. Would you like me to do something crazy with it? I would love to know that in the comment section below. And of course, I really appreciate the awesome support that you guys give me. So big thanks to all the awesome supporters who always support me on my Discord, and of course on my Twitch broadcast, dropping cheers and bits and subscribing, and of course on my Patreon page, all the awesome dudes who always keep subscribing and supporting this channel. Thank you so much from all of my heart. Really, thank you so much. I really needed that. I really appreciate it. And of course, my friends, don't forget to watch my previous videos. We have made a ton of content for you on this channel in automation, game, and BeamNG. Watch that and write me which one is your favorite videos. And of course, we do make challenges. Go to my Discord. We do make challenges. Currently, we have a very awesome challenge, which is like the Underground Race Car Challenge, which is inspired by Need for Speed Underground 2. If you are into that, if you're into making cars in a competitive way to win awesome prizes and awesome custom cars, the link in the description below to my Discord page. So that's pretty much it, my friend. Thank you so much everyone for watching. Have a great night everyone, or day whenever you are watching this video, and see you soon, my friend, with awesome broadcasts on Twitch or new videos on YouTube and awesome contents for you. So thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now, my friends.